Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi there. I'll see you again in this discussion regarding the dependent clause. Remember, last time we already talked about one type of dependent clause, that is adverb clause. And today we are going to talk about another type of dependent clause, that is adjective clause. We are going to start with the definition of adjective clause, the characteristic of adjective clause, the example of adjective clause, and also the connector of adjective clause. So now, are you ready to talk about them one by one? Let's start from the definition of adjective clause. So what is the adjective clause? This is the combination of subject and verb, and also of connector, of course, that can be used to modify a noun. Remember, because it can modify a noun in the sentence, then the position of this adjective clause in the sentence can be in the position of subject, and it can be also in the position of object. So that is the definition of adjective clause. And what are the characteristics of adjective clause? There are 4 characteristics that we are going to talk about. The first one is that adjective clauses are normally introduced by a relative pronoun or relative adverb. And then the second, adjective clauses provide additional information about a noun or pronoun that functions to clarify or specify its meaning. And the third one, adjective clauses usually come immediately after the noun or pronoun that they modify. An adjective clause can be classified as non-essential or essential. Right, so what are the examples of adjective clause? Right, so to make it more understandable, let's talk about the example one by one. The first one is that the book that I borrowed from the library is fascinating. If you pay attention to this sentence, you will find the noun the book functioning as a subject. And after the word the book, it is followed by adjective clause that I borrowed from the library. That I borrowed from the library explain more about the book. Imagine if I only mention the book is fascinating. Which book, miss? Which book is fascinating? The book that I borrowed from the library. So the adjective clause that I borrowed from the library actually clarify more about the noun. And the noun here functions as the subject. So that is the first example. And then the second example, the woman who lives next door is a doctor. Who lives next door is also the adjective clause that modify the noun the woman. Again, the woman here functions as the subject, and that's why the adjective clause function directly after the word the woman. So who lives next door consists of connector, and also it functions as the subject, and lives here functions as the verb. So the woman who lives next door is actually the subject that is clarified with adjective clause who lives the door. And who lives next door here explain about the woman. And the third example is, this is the city where I was born. So for example, if I mention to you, hi guys, this is the city. What? What city, miss? Then I can explain more. This is the city where I was born. So this is the city where you were born, miss? Yes, correct. So again, where I was born is adjective clause, and it explains more about the noun, the city. And then in this sentence, it functions as the predicative noun. So this is the city where I was born. The car which is parked outside belonged to my friend. Which one is the subject of the sentence? Yes, the car which is parked outside. And the car which is parked outside, the word which is parked outside here is the adjective clause that mention the word the car here. With this information, the listener or the reader get clear understanding about what is meant by the speaker. And the word which is parked here outside actually is only functioning as additional information about the car. So this is not really essential, but it can be regarded as non-essential. Why? Because without you have the word which is parked outside, all of the speaker or the listener have already understood about which car is meant by the speaker. So the car which is parked outside belongs to my friend. Which is parked outside functioning as the adjective clause. And which noun is explained? The car. Yes, correct. So that's all about the adjective clause. And then in order to make adjective clause, you need a connector. And there are 5 types of connector that you can use. Make sure that if you want to explain about human, you use who. And also you use whom. And make sure if you want to explain about things or animal, you use which as the connector. And you use that to modify more about human or about things or animals. So that can function both. And you use whose to explain about the possessive of someone's things. So basically there are 5 types of connector that you can use to modify the noun and to create the adjective clause. So I think that's all for today's discussion regarding the adjective clause. Thank you very much for your information. Thank you very much for your attention, I mean. And if you still have questions, you can ask me, and then we have more discussion so that everyone can understand about what I'm talking about. Thank you very much, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.